this play here is the same argument. This play right here is the same argument or justification or logic that they're trying to use for Giannis's dribble. I don't care if it's spinning. I don't care if he hasn't brought his other hand to it. Once he goes from that inside outside, he begins to drag and cup the ball towards him in an unnatural motion from where the ball was going. That is control. That is control of the ball, even if it's still spinning.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
We're in the business of winning.
Don't bet against me.
I don't bet anyway.
Lose your life.
Okay, we have to talk about this Giannis travel that happened the other day. I made this short here that you see as a joke, kind of just making fun of it, right? You know, as a joke, like old heads won't understand, but this isn't a travel, right? And I go to work yesterday and today, and people are defending this. Like, they're literally saying this isn't a travel. They're trying to get into the rule book and all these things. So we're going to go over it. We're going to essentially, you know, let's go ahead and like go back to formula on what traveling and dribbling is, right?
Back to formula.
You know, let's kind of go back to the rule book, and then I'm gonna kind of explain why. Watch a few other photos, right, or videos from the NBA site, and explain specifically why this is a travel, right? For kind of the no one's really bringing it up, right? So largely the explanation that people have been giving with this is that a lot of people are saying, well, what we're focusing on here, right, is people are focusing on the steps. Really what the crux of the issue is when does the gather happen, right? The gather is when you have tipped your hand metaphorically or literally that you are not going to dribble anymore, or that you have the ability that you could do something else with the ball, right? So in the rule book, right, we'll read it here, but just know that that's what we're trying to get to the heart of, right, is the gather. When does the gather start, and then when does he get his 2 steps after that, right? So a lot of people are saying that once you have 2 hands on it, that's when he picks it up. People are saying, well, it's spinning in his hand, you know, so it's technically not a dead ball, you know, it's still live kind of thing. And it's kind of all irrelevant, right? All those things are kind of irrelevant to why it's a travel, correct? So I want to read the rule book here. We're going to go to dribble. And the dribble part's pretty standard, right? Dribble is a movement of the ball caused by a player in control who throws or taps the ball to the floor. Dribble ends when the dribbler touches the ball simultaneously with both hands, permits the ball to come to a rest in his hand. You could call that palming in a way. Tries for a field goal, throws a pass, touches the ball more than once while dribbling. I guess, you know, if you were to quickly throw it over to the other hand or something like that. Loses control, right? Then your dribble is ended. Allows the ball to become dead. Otherwise, gathers the ball. And that's what we're going to talk about, right? For a player, this is the gather. For a player who receives the ball via a pass or gains possession of a loose ball, the gather is defined as the point where the player gains enough control of the ball to hold it, change hands, pass, shoot, or the player cradles the ball against his body, right? For a player who is in control of the ball while dribbling, the gather is defined as the point where a player does any of the following: puts 2 hands on the ball or otherwise permits the ball to come to a rest while he is in control of it, puts a hand under the ball and brings it to a pause. And this is the key issue, right? Otherwise gains enough control of the ball to hold it, change hands, pass, shoot, or the player cradles the ball against his body, right? Why is this the important part, right? The key word here is control. That's really what we're trying to get at here. And we'll watch some videos, and we'll watch the Giannis video again, right? But the way, if you interpreted that right, is essentially that now if you think about it, the guys back in the day who used to dribble straight on top of the ball, you know, now if you read these rules right, you understand why, right? Because once you make any tip of the hand, right, or any sort of movement, or you control the ball in any way that suggests that you are going to do something else with the ball other than dribble it again, you have essentially committed to a gather, right? You have enough control of the ball where you are not going to dribble it again, correct? And so people need to keep that in mind. And I know we make fun of the guys back in the day and the way they dribble, but you have to think about that one more time, right? Otherwise, gains enough control of the ball to hold it, change hands, pass, shoot, or the player cradles the ball against his body. Now, again, if I'm bringing the ball up and I slightly bring my hand to the side, can I not pass it? Can I not push it? Can I not shove it? Can I not tip it, right? Again, you can't make a pass with your hand on top of the ball, correct? You are committed to the dribble. And again, I see both sides of this, right? And that is, the rules are the rules, right? The old school, and that's how it's supposed to be. But obviously, over time, things have become a lot more loose. They've allowed the players to really push the limits. Again, if you really watch ball, you see these point guards just who, even when they nonchalantly bring the ball up, I mean, they are almost palming it in a way, right? And that is, it's just, that's how lazy like the calling has gotten, or the enforcement of the rules, right? I also don't necessarily blame the players per se, right? Even as a competitor, are you not supposed to push the boundaries a little bit and see what you can get away with? And so I understand both sides. And then thirdly, I actually want to defend the refs a little bit, and that is, now the Giannis one is a little more egregious, right? But in real time, these things are so hard to call, right? I've refed some like junior high and elementary games before, and it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Like everything is so fast paced. There's 10 people running up and down the floor engaging with each other. Things are happening away from the ball. There's a lot happening with the ball. Two guys go up, and the ball goes out of bounds. Like, you really got to be on your toes, like when you're reffing basketball, in my opinion. I think it is the most difficult of the major sports to ref, right? And so I see this one particularly from all sides. Me being the politician, again, I know, right? Again, I think they should be stricter with the rules. And if you read these rules right, it now makes sense why guys used to dribble like this, correct? Otherwise, gains enough control of the ball to hold it, change hands, pass, shoot, or the player cradles the ball against his body. Essentially, if you make any movement, if you commit to anything other than another dribble, essentially you have begun your gather, right? That is how the rule is supposed to be interpreted and how it used to be, right? And I understand there's the new age stuff today, right? And we're not there anymore, right? We're in a new time, but still, this Giannis travel is just it's completely just, it's totally out of bounds. I can't believe people are going along with this, right? So let's watch a few videos. Okay, so let's look at like some basic videos so we make sure we're all on the same page, and then we'll get to the Giannis one, correct? And then I'll use a couple other ones that people swear are not travels, and whatnot. But I think, remember, the key point here, right, is having control of the ball means essentially you have enough control of it. You have made a commitment to another move or positioning of the ball where you could do something other than dribble with it, correct? I mean, that is the interpretation, right? Once you have tipped your hand, right, literally or metaphorically, right? I say that, but it's really the only best way I can think of saying it. You have committed. You have placed your hand on the ball or your body or your movement. We all kind of know it when we see it, right? That is when control of the ball starts and you have gathered the ball and ended your dribble. Now, I understand, right, that in today's game that the players are getting really shifty and smooth with it, and it's hard to see, and they're in real time, there is like some gray area there that, I wouldn't say that I'd be able to get all these right in real time, right? We have the advantage to go back. Hindsight is 2020. We can break it down frame by frame and we can see, right? So here's Jaden Hardy. He's coming down. Again, he has not made any movement or tipped his hand in any way that he's going to do anything other than dribble it, right? Now, obviously, here, two hands is a clear pickup. It's a clear gather, clear control, right? So, and then we all agree that you get 2 steps after the pickup, right? Everyone agrees with that. I've heard it, or sometimes I've heard people call it like you really get like a step and a half because you're kind of Again, as you can see, he's already got the foot up in the air. It's kind of like a half step, but everyone calls it 2 steps. We'll just call it 2 steps, right? He has gathered 1. Oops, I skipped a little bit. He has gathered 1, 2, 3 steps, right? That one's pretty easy, right? That one is fairly easy. We can all agree, just so we're all on the same page, right? There's been no tipping of the hand here. His movement looks like he's going to dribble again. Okay, now he's going to go pick it up. You could argue, honestly, that the gather is here, even before he technically puts 2 hands on it, right? The hand is coming underneath the ball. He's kind of committed to it. Now, this is where it gets, if you have someone good like James Harden, right? And he's quickly putting a foot down as he goes to grab it, right? And these kind of weird, movements that he does, it can be really hard to tell, right? And we'll watch a video like that as well. But obviously here, he has gone to gather 1, 2, 3. We can agree that one is a travel. That one's pretty easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right, here's a more controversial one, surprisingly. Now, this is, again, even though this is FIBA NBA rules and they're very relaxed with it, we need to keep in mind the having control aspect of it, correct? And people swear up and down that, well, the ball hasn't come to a rest. He hasn't, the ball is kind of up in the air, so he can do whatever you want. Remember, having otherwise gained enough control of the ball to essentially do anything else with it counts as a gather, correct? So let's watch the original video. Is this it? Yeah. One more time. All right. So this is where people have to just be honest with themselves and give a good faith answer. He's coming down. Dribble. 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 That's still fine. Everything's good. I want you to tell me where this ball is when it comes up into his right hand and then where the ball ends. And I want you to be honest with yourself and tell me, does he have control of this ball in any other way that is not another dribble, correct? And this is, even though people are acting like this is a gray area with this, where you have to, if the ball is still moving and you haven't committed, you haven't touched it with 2 hands, and, it's still, you could have it, you could have it here for 10 steps as long as the ball is still moving and you haven't committed to dribble, right? That's kind of what they're trying to say. Be honest with yourself and say, does he have control of this ball when the ball goes from, here's a dribble, right? Look at the ball. That's where it came up, correct? Is that control of the ball? In my opinion, that is control of the ball. That is clear control and manipulation of the ball. That is not towards another dribble, correct? Everyone, I think, agrees with that, but again, everyone says this is legal. I disagree. It's very clear, like, once you have control of the ball, and look, the ball does not come up and then move 10 feet or 8 feet horizontally, right? That is control of the ball. That is not another dribble. That is not a dead ball. That is not a ball just floating next to you as you run. He has cupped the ball. He has palmed the ball and brought it horizontally through the air to the corner 3, right? So again, we have the fortunate ability to go back. Here is the palm. He has begun to pick the ball up. He has control of the ball. That is not towards another dribble. 1 step when he puts his left foot down. Again, once the ball comes up, look how far the ball already has gone. From here to that first step. That is not a natural dribble. That is control of the ball. He's sort of like, I don't know how you want to put it, but he's sideways kind of palming the ball. He's kind of cupping it a little bit, and he's bringing it to him, right? That left foot should be the first step. 2 step, 3 step, easily at least 3 steps, right? Again, everyone swears this is legal. People will tell me even by the rule book this is legal. If people go back and read what we just read, and it says you have otherwise any sort of other control of it other than another dribble, and it looks like you could do anything with it. This ball, and again, remember, he's dribbling the ball to his outside, his right outside there. So the ball is already going away from him, right? It's not as if The Giannis one, you can make a little bit of a better argument because he's running forward with the ball, and the ball is kind of going naturally with that momentum, right? They're both going in the same direction. This one, he has clearly gone from like an inside-outside dribble, and it's going away from his body, which means he obviously has to cup it and bring it all the way back. That is control. No one will ever tell me that is not control of the ball. Even if, and this is very important with the Giannis video, even if he went to go do that inside-outside dribble, right? And the ball is spinning in his hand, it's rotating. As, you know, again, if you've ever had kind of dry hands, right? I know the guys put baby powder and stuff on. It's to kind of keep your hands dry and not wet, because once they get wet, right, that's when it kind of slips through your hands after a while. And you want to keep your hands dry, right? But anyone knows that, like, if you've ever just had that smooth feeling of a ball, right, where you're barely touching it, right, but you still have kind of control of it. I don't care if it's spinning. I don't care if he hasn't brought his other hand to it. Once he goes from that inside outside, he begins to drag and cup the ball towards him in an unnatural motion from where the ball was going. That is control. That is control of the ball, even if it's still spinning. So remember, look at his dribble. He comes with the left, normal dribble. He's going to catch it on the inside here with his right hand. He's going to go to his outside, right? It's going away from him. I would say here, this is a gather. If you wanted me to give like the exact moment, I would say it's somewhere right here in this frame. Look, that hand around the ball, he begins to pull it. That is the gather right there. That is my opinion. No one will tell me different. That is control of the ball. And again, no one called this, and everyone thinks this is not a travel. So I'm sort of standing on a hill here by myself in a way. I know a lot of people would agree with me, but in terms of this, the new way of thinking and stuff, everyone seems to think this is just fine. I would say that left foot is the first step. Right foot is the second step. Third step. That would be a travel to me. And I know it's very bang-bang with just how, again, I don't blame the refs sometimes. I mean, this is hard to see, right? This is hard to count. But in my opinion, that's 1, 2, 3. That's 3 steps, right? Let's see if we can find another one. There was a college one. I said we were going to do NBA, but this college one's not bad. Watch it in real time first.
Oklahoma Baptist playing for Coach Aikman. Steal and a stuff.
Steal and a stuff. This one's a little more obvious. It's just that it was a bad angle, so that's why I kind of didn't want to do it. And again, college and NBA, a little different. But again, this one's one where the guys go to chop their steps. They throw the ball out in front. I think this guy just didn't give himself enough room. So again, he's coming down. He's dribbling down. All's fine. Still dribbling. I would say that step does not count, but once that step is down, it's clear here, right, that he is not going to dribble again. He's got the ball up here again. I can't see him perfectly, but I can kind of see around his shoulder. Maybe you guys can't. But obviously, right, obviously here, he's gone to gather it, right? His hand is no longer on top dribbling. So this left foot would be step 1 to me. 2, 3. That would be a travel. Again, these things are really hard to see in real time, so I don't mean to come off as like high and mighty kind of thing. But clearly he's gone to gather. 1. I'll go again. Hold back one more time. 1, 2, 3. Again, close, right? Depending on how that ref saw it, maybe he was dribbling, and he was perfectly keeping his hand on top of the ball, and then he grabbed that last second as he was planning. I understand there's some gray area here, right? It's another Giannis one.
Position defender than a shot blocker, rim protector.
Great anticipation, steal, and hammer. Giannis.
This one's kind of more obvious. So again, this is one catching on a loose ball, right? So clearly before that his left foot comes down, he has gathered the ball. He has made what looks like a gather. Now he could put the ball on the floor. He could dribble still here, but he doesn't, right? And he still has enough time. But that left foot, that's 1, 2, 3. That one's a little more obvious, though, of course. That's a whole YouTube video. Now let's watch There's some in the rule book that are interesting. There's one James Harden video I wanted to watch just to kind of illustrate how tough these calls can be sometimes. And there is like that split second of, you really got to be on your toes. It can be really hard to see in real time.
This is an example of a player legally gathering the ball to end his dribble and then taking 2 legal steps before releasing the ball on his shot attempt. The offensive...
In real time, I would have said that looks like a travel, right? Again, this one is a perfect breakdown of, like, you need to understand how the NBA rules work a little bit. And this is one of those bang bang plays where it's really hard to call and it's hard to see in real time, and guys are shifty and they're very smooth with it. They've really learned how to press the rules here. And they get crafty, right? That's the word I'm kind of looking for. And so they do some really jinky things sometimes, and it can look very awkward, but it's legal. All right, so let's watch it in slow-mo. So again, is he going to dribble again? It looks like he could still dribble, right? It hasn't committed to anything else.
Gathers the ball.
And this is where James Harden's very good with the bang bang, right? Because if one really kind of wanted to nitpick and argue, you could say he's kind of gathering the ball there as he goes to make that left step. But again, in real time as he's dribbling, again, Harden's got the ball down low here. Exactly what he's going to do with it. Can the ref see him? Is he going to gather? It's really hard to see right there. He could dribble. The hand is kind of coming in there once the foot's down. But again, this would be legal, right? But here's where they're good with it, is that they are picking the ball up at the first split second that they can after a foot is down to give them 2 more steps. That's the trick here, right? As soon as you put a foot down, if you can gather the ball, you still get those 2 more steps, right? That's kind of that's really what Harden and some of these other guys have perfected.
Gathers the ball with his left foot on the floor. That foot does not count toward his allowable step limit. He then takes 2 legal steps, stepping with his right foot, and then his left foot, before releasing the ball on his shot attempt. This is a legal example. A progressing player may take 2 legal steps after gathering the ball to either shoot, pass.
Now, what also helps Harden here is that he was very deliberate and quick from that dribble to the pickup, right? It was very quick and deliberate as he was stepping. So in a way, he's sort of communicating to the ref, right? I'm putting my foot down and then I picked it up. I have 2 steps still, right? He is kind of what he's doing there, if that makes sense. All right, so now that we got that one, right? Let's watch those couple examples. Let's watch Giannis again, correct?
Gather with the ball.
Watch that. That's just one dribble.
Now here comes the argument, right? Again, my argument is, when does he have control of the ball that he is going to do something other than dribble with it, right? When is he committed? 2 hands are irrelevant. The ball spinning is irrelevant, right? We kind of went through that example. Even if I bring the ball up and then I cup it and bring it with me horizontally, even if the ball's still spinning and I haven't put another hand on it, that is otherwise gaining control of the ball. That's the part that no one is bringing up. And, again, we make fun of the guys in the old days, but they had to be very deliberate with what they're doing. Any little move your hand to the side or you hesitate for it or whatever, you can't, there's no hezzies. You know what I mean? There's no bringing your hand even to the side, because you could pick the ball up, you could cup it, you could pass it, you could put it in the other hand, right? You could do something other than dribble, so you've committed to ending your dribble.
Right there.
So here is where I would say clearly Giannis is not going to dribble again. Even if the ball is moving, even if his other hand has not hit the ball yet, this is clear control of the ball, right? Just because, again, you might say, well, he loosely has it, or how can you tell? He is in control of the ball. It doesn't matter how firm he has it gripped. If he is altering the ball in any way than what isn't another normal dribble, right? If he cups it, puts his hand under it, palms it, touches it with another hand, comes to rest in his hand. All of these things, we just need one. Then he's picked up his dribble. So let's watch it one more time in slow-mo. Or we'll go back, watch it again as he comes up.
With the ball.
Watch that. That's just one dribble right there.
So here, I can get on board. Maybe get on board. Maybe get on board. That doesn't look like another dribble to me. That is clearly, he's gone to gather, right? This is clearly his first step here. This is clearly going to be his first step. The ball doesn't have to stop. He doesn't need two hands on it. He has now taken the ball as, remember, let's watch the path of the ball one more time.
The gather with the ball.
Tell me when it
Watch
becomes
that. That's just
unnatural.
one dribble right there.
Maybe still running with it. He's kind of pulling it into his body here. Definitely pulling it into his body here, right? And again, I understand this is boom boom, and there's this interpretation of the rules, and they're constantly being pushed, and the boundaries need to be found out. Sure, 100%, right? But clearly, when he was going from his dribble,
Gather with the ball.
Watch that. That's just one dribble right there.
he could maybe dribble again. He could maybe dribble again. This is where it gets close. And he's clear. This is where the ball has gone from a normal dribble where, he's kind of got it. Fair enough, right? Where you've got it and it's kind of hanging out there, and that needs to be addressed is, can someone just kind of run with the ball? I think if you're in the spirit of the rule and how it's actually interpreted, you can't do that. I think they're gonna have to address it like officially with wording, right? But again, as he's coming up and the ball is kind of in a natural position, I can understand the argument if he just kind of lets it hang there and the ball naturally is going its own way, right? The ball is naturally following the path that he dribbled it down, that he put it in motion of. Once you affect that motion of the ball, and you're not clearly going to dribble again, that is control. That is a gather, right? And clearly at this point right here, before this left foot comes down, he has clearly gone from dribbling it, even kind of if it's high and it's rotating, and he has begun to bring it out. Look at his hand. His hand is 3/4 of the way underneath, right? And he has begun to bring it into his body. That is control. That is a gather. This is step 1,
Whoa, my goodness.
2,
Wow.
3, right? And by the way, that is, in my opinion, that is the most generous interpretation I could give you.
Watch that. That's just one dribble right.
Because in my opinion, right, a natural dribble, where would it go? I would say even right here, he has begun the process of ending the dribble. Now, it's kind of bang, bang. This is the gray area right here. This is the gray area where I could maybe say, okay. But look at his hand. The ball is no longer kind of up, and he's kind of resting his hand on it. He's begun to manipulate the ball in such a way where it is not just going to go forward anymore. And in my opinion, definitely by this point, by the time the left foot comes down, he has begun to grab it. You can see his other hand coming in, right? In any normal sense, when you go to play basketball, right? And even if it's kind of like a delayed pickup, if you've heard that, even if you're dribbling and you kind of hang it out here, right? When you go to plant and you grab the ball, even if it's bang, bang, that is your first step, right? That is your first step. And in my opinion here, he's clearly has control of the ball in any other manner that's not another dribble. That's his first step right there. At a minimum. At a minimum.
It's one dribble right there.
I would say, if we're going to get strict here, I would say before that right foot comes down, he's kind of already doing it. Look, remember how he was dribbling, right? He throws it out and he does one. Once you kind of do this, you've gathered. That is a gather. And then clearly here, that's control. That is control of the ball in another manner that's not going to be another dribble. So that's my video. That's my breakdown. I'm sure a lot of people will disagree, but that's just the facts. That's just how it is. That's how it should be interpreted, right? And I actually, one more time, this one is actually a great example of what I'm trying to say. You might say that it's you might say it's kind of up to interpretation. There's some gray area with Giannis's. It's definitely a little closer, but this play here is the same argument. This play right here is the same argument or justification or logic that they're trying to use for Giannis's dribble, right? And no one will ever be able to tell me that him dribbling to his outside right here, in my opinion, again, he could still crossover dribble here back to his left. That is possible. But once he begins to drag the ball, that is a gather, right? Once he begins to cup and drag the ball, that is, you're controlling the ball. Even if some people, I think, are going to say, well, he doesn't have control of it. And I think that's not quite what it's saying. It's saying once you have enough control where you are not going to dribble anymore, and you've kind of altered the ball in a way that is not towards another dribble, right? And I think clearly any true basketball fan, or even just someone being honest with themselves, would say, if I went to go dribble a ball and I had my hand on the side of it and I took and I started to move sideways horizontally and drag the ball, that's control of the ball. Even if, like for me, example, right? I can maybe palm a good ball sometimes, right? The ones with the really good grip. In the middle of a game, I cannot palm a ball, right? In the middle of live action, I cannot palm a ball, correct? So it would be, even for me, right? If I could do something like this, which I could do something like this, I can't grip a ball, right? I can't palm a ball like that in real time. What would you call it once I begin to bring the ball with me? Well, you could say, well, he's not gripping it. He's not palming it, right? He doesn't have control of it. That's not what it's saying. It's you have otherwise gained control of the ball that is not another dribble. You could do something else with it, right? And no one will be able to tell me that going from here, again, he could cross over here, but going from here, and once he begins to drag it, that's control. You have control of the ball in a manner that is not towards another dribble. So that's my video. That's my explanation. Again, I think here it's clear. This is the snapshot here. It's clear that left foot's going to be his first step. He's gathered the ball here. It's no longer in a normal dribble motion. He's begun to cup it. He's 3/4 of the way there. He has begun to bring the ball into his body. That's the first step at a minimum right there, right? So that's my video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think.